telecast was pre-recorded for immediate transmission to you tonight.
In this helicopter today, Moshe Dayan is flying to the Suez line. We are following him in our helicopter. Here's the line along the Suez, which the Israeli army is holding in order to stop the Egyptian forces. We are at an outpost on that line with Moshe Dayan.
Our main military policy here is to hold the line, to hold a static line. But it's not as simple as that. Let me put it like that. We are conducting here a static strategy, holding a stable line, but at the same time, dynamic tactics. We are striking inside Egypt, over the line, because war has its own logic. You can't just hold the line if you really want to hold the line. You have to do things and tactics. So you will see a line here, and this is our line. We are not looking after more conquerors, and we are not trying to go inside Egypt to stay there. Only that we are trying to turn it into a boomerang and to make it more difficult for the Egyptian than for us. I hope that one day Nasser will find out that he thought that he was mounting a racing horse, and he'll find out that he's riding a tiger.
General Dayan, what do you expect of American Jews in the difficult days ahead?
Do you want the truth? Well, we would like you to be with us and to act for us. To be with us, to feel the way that we feel, to have faith in our way, and to share our difficulties, our problem. We have a financial, economic, and political problem. We want you to help us financially and politically. And we want you to act for us in your country, in America, to make the Americans understanding us better and supporting us, both you and the American people.
At this distance, you can dimly see the destroyed city of Suez on the Egyptian side. The city is empty except for a few maintenance personnel. All the Egyptian cities along the Suez are evacuated now. Almost 1 million Egyptians have moved into the interior, actually refugees in their own country. Their leaders stubbornly refuse to make peace, and simple people suffer. On the Israeli side of the Suez, young men are poised for any eventuality. To see them here, daily risking their lives, freely and willingly risking their lives, is one of the most touching sights in all of Israel. Their leaders expect courage and bravery of them, and the boys give it to them. Not the least reason is that their leaders set the example for them. One of the men General Dayan is counting on to hold the line is this 23-year-old lieutenant, a battery commander whose 155-millimeter guns are poised to fire across the Suez whenever necessary.
Well, this place is quite a lonely place. It's very cold at night, and when we sleep only with blankets, no sleeping bags, because we have to be movable every minute. Now, food is good, but when you eat the food, most of the times sand gets in, and that's the worst. Now, as a commander, I see this war as a very special war, because it's not a war of conquering areas. or with some aim in it. Only one, which is keeping the position still, preventing the Arabs killing Israeli citizens and preventing destroying of our nation. In this war we have many wounded people and many dead ones, but I think the cost is justified, and I think all the future of the Jewish nation depends on how we stand here and how we protect our rights.
This 26-year-old man is the field doctor who services the lieutenant's unit.
As soon as I'm informed that I have a wounded soldier in one of my battery or another unit in the field, I'm hurrying toward him with my ambulance, and his friends bringing him toward me with a half truck or with a command car. I meet him in the field, give him the first treatment, if he needs resuscitation, fluids or blood, respiratory resuscitation. Then I'm going with him to a known place, and then I have a helicopter waiting for me. With the helicopter, he's flown to a center place in Sinai. There is a special resuscitation unit, and if he's severely wounded, he's flown to a center rear hospital in the country.
Today, the sound of a helicopter usually means one thing. Another boy has been wounded or killed. If the ambulance goes to the back of the helicopter, the boy's dead. If it goes to the front, he is still alive. Right now at Tel HaShomer Hospital outside Tel Aviv, you will find this boy. He lost both his hands. Here, Shlomo Freund, a member of the staff.
Most of the people in overseas think that the war is over. But if you would see the boys coming in from the front without arm or without a leg, it's sometimes very hard for the boys. There are nervous breakdowns for this. There are sometimes cries, tears in their eyes, not in public, but sometimes I find them in bed and they are crying because they do not know what will be. They would be ready to go again, I know it.
The man inside this wooden casket is being buried at Mount Herzl in Jerusalem. He was a reservist in his mid-30s. A mortar shell along the Suez took his life. His wife, his children, his brothers and sisters, his friends. The loss is theirs. He gave the most a man can give. Today, and almost every day in Israel, you can see this scene.
עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
The widows of Israel bear testimony to the sacrifice of its people. This is a young widow, a girl from Australia who came here 9 years ago and married an Israeli boy. And even after the death of her husband in the Six-Day War, she decided to stay here.
And I remember that Sunday after the war, when they came back and told everybody. I think that must have been all over the country one of the worst days that we all experienced together. But then, 3 months after the war, my son was born. And he and all the other children who have been born to widows are the hope and future of this country. Because they are all we have left. They look like their parents, their fathers, they act like them. And for me, that is the most wonderful thing about it. I don't feel that he's been so terribly lost. When I look at him. Yes? But as for me, I couldn't... Yes, come and sit with Mummy. Okay. I couldn't live anywhere else. The greatest hope, of course, is for peace. And one can only hope that my husband and all the other boys haven't given their lives away in vain. But by the time he's big enough, there won't be any war.
Israel not only has the sacrifice of its widows, but its grieving parents as well.
Run away to the man who is responsible of the security of our kibbutz. And I asked him, tell me, Benny, his name is Benny, tell me, Benny, what happened to my Benny? Tell me, what happened to Benny? He will try to get some news about him. They knew already. They couldn't tell me any details because they didn't know much, but only that he is killed. Why they knew to take away from me my son. And I don't know to bring him back. Even they have other children, but nobody's coming to this place. He is no more, but he is with us always.
After 2,000 years, the Jews have returned to the western wall of the Second Temple, the Wailing Wall. More lives were lost reclaiming the old city and the wall than at any other location during the Six-Day War. They were lost because the Jews wanted to minimize the destruction to the holy places. Not only our holy places, but the holy places of others. Foreign Minister Abba Eban talks to you now from the wall at Jerusalem.
I've come here to speak to the Jewish communities of the United States. And to do that, I've come here to the cradle of our nation, to the place where our people and its faith were born, the place where all the mystery and the tragedy and the glory of the Jewish story come together. We have come back to the birthplace of our people forever. We have come here to stay. Now there are other places where we shall have to stay, but none with a deeper significance than this. We are no longer cut off from the shrines of our people, and no longer do Jordanian guns threaten us from this place. Nobody knows what the final peace map of Israel will be, but there will not be any peace or any peace map unless we can stand firm until there is peace in which we can negotiate the conditions of our coexistence with our neighbors. When I say that we shall stay here and we shall stay in other places, I am saying a very grave thing. We know what the price is and what the price will be. Our sons and daughters are falling at the front. Our children in the Jordan Valley sleep every night in air raid shelters. A heavy struggle lies before us against very strong adversaries in the international arena. A burden of taxation and of economic restraints faces us this year. What nation is there anywhere in the world which has such burdens and which faces such dangers? Our adversaries hope that these burdens will crush us. And I tell you that they well may be right. Whether our burdens crush us or not depends not on NASA, not on the Soviet Union, not even on our friends in the international community. The question depends upon you. It is you who will be decisive and central in answering that question, whether our burdens will defeat us or whether we shall rise above them. Now think of what those burdens are. The burdens of security, the heavy load on our economy, our responsibilities in the administered territories, the landmine and the bomb which are thrown against us in cafeterias and in supermarkets, the hope of our foes to isolate us from world opinion. These are our burdens. All of them fundamentally come back to the question whether we shall have the resources with which to meet them. Some of our burdens are glorious indeed. In the next 4 or 5 years, more than 250,000 Jewish immigrants will come to our shores. This is not a burden, this is a grace, but in the first instance, this is a heavy load upon our economy. Therefore, the central question that everybody in Israel asks is what you are going to do. If you will help us to bear these burdens, and especially the economic burden, then we shall stand firm. Then the ceasefire lines will be maintained. Then we shall triumph in our international struggle. Then we shall absorb and integrate our immigrants. Then we shall build our society to be a glory for all Jewish history. If you were to fail us, who knows what catastrophes would not fall upon us? Then that which our enemies were not able to do in June 1967, they would perform. I tell you that our burdens are too heavy for us to bear alone. If you will rise to the levels and above the levels of 1967 in the practical affirmation of your solidarity, then Israel will know security, and there will break forth from this place that radiant and indescribable vision of peace which mankind first saw from these holy stones of Jerusalem. This is our danger, this is our opportunity. I call upon you in the name of every Israeli to help us surmount those dangers and to rise to the level of our opportunity.
Israel is home to every Jew who needs a home. By sea and by air, the children of Israel continue to come home at rates that are ever increasing. These people, our people, need housing, need work, need hope. We must help them. Israel today is absorbing immigrants at an average rate of more than 1,000 a week. During this year, 60,000 persons will come in from all parts of the world. They will come from all countries, in all conditions, most with no money and few possessions. And there are still hundreds of thousands more to come from lands of distress, from behind the Iron Curtain, from Muslim countries. It costs them on average $15,000 to bring each of these families to Israel and to process them through absorption centers, to provide them with housing, health insurance, social welfare, education, job training, and financial aid. And keep in mind that there are still 250,000 unabsorbed men, women, and children on social welfare from previous waves of immigration. The bill for handling this absorption, plus the estimated 1970 intake, will run into hundreds of millions of dollars. This is the bill we must pay. You are today seeing the essential meaning of Israel. Jews coming home. Jews from all over the world coming home. We want them. We love them. They are the true meaning of the state. Along the Jordan border, roads and fields are unsafe until cleared by patrols searching for mines. In the kibbutzim and moshavim of the Beit Shan and Jordan valleys, there's daily shelling from the Arab side. These are not my children or your children, but they are our children, who must sleep in bomb shelters every night. And how many of them, we ask ourselves, will see finally a truly secure state of Israel? And how many will have to die for it? Measure as you must your sacrifice against theirs. The Prime Minister chose to come to the Beit Shan Valley, which was today under shell fire, to talk to you.
Friends, I must admit that it is rather difficult for me to speak to you at this present moment. I'm here in the Beit Shan Valley, just in the midst of a trip that I'm making to see the various settlements, agricultural settlements, on the Jordan River, which means they are on the border between us and Jordan. These are the settlements that for the last 2.5 years since the war have practically not known what it means to have many days, consecutive days or nights of quiet. I have seen these people, the men, the women, the youngsters, the children. I have gone down into the shelters to see where the children actually live now and they consider it their home. I've seen the mothers that have tiny children, babies, infants, and they know that at any moment shells may come over from the other side. And to be in the midst of these men and women going on with their work, going into the army when they are called up, to see how they take it, how they have no thought whatsoever of moving anywhere for an easier life. I have just been in a moshav called Yardena. Only 2 nights ago, there was again shelling there. And to see how these men and women go on, how they realize that a shell may fall at any moment, and yet they cultivate their farms. What they asked for is to put up maybe some more housing so that their sons and daughters who are about to be married may live in the same place with them. They're not picking a safe place somewhere else for their sons or daughters. They want them right there and near them, and the young people want to be there. This is the spirit of these people. It is difficult to be among them without a feeling, something of a feeling even of being ashamed that one does not remain among them and live with them. These are not the only agricultural settlements. There are many throughout the country, but there are our men, young men, our sons, on the various fronts, whether it's in the Suez Canal or whether it's up north on the Syrian or the Lebanese border. This is the army. These are the people. These are the people that we depend upon, and it is because of the spirit of this people that we can do as well as we do militarily. Now, we must simultaneously be prepared to absorb those immigrants that come. We want them, we need them. Those that come, they need us, they need the country. We must see that our economy is intact. We must see that our industry develops. We must see that our agriculture develops. We must see that our schools go on, that there is higher education. We do not know how long this war will last, and we cannot give up the opportunities or the necessity for our young people to grow up so that they in turn can live in a cultured, modern, democratic society. Some of you who have been in Israel, and some of you who have met in the United States, every once in a while ask me, how long can you take it? We don't ask ourselves that question. We can take it as long as it is necessary. We are convinced that peace will come. But peace will come on one condition, that we take it. Everything that has to come, we take it until there is peace. Our neighbors need peace as much as we do. They will make peace only with an Israel that is strong in spirit, that is strong military-wise, that is strong in its economy, that can take it. Looking around in this world for friends, for allies who will take it with us, there's nobody as constant that we can so depend upon that can take it with us as you are. You sitting here in the various places of the United States, listening to what I have to say from the valley of Beit-Shan. It's a miraculous world that we can talk intimately at such large distances. Many of you have been here. I hope those that haven't been here will come. Those that have been will come again. If you were only here with me at this spot and making this trip with me, believe me, no words would be necessary. But I know that you understand. I know that you believe. I know that you want exactly the same thing that we want. I know that you too realize that we can win only in a partnership cemented very closely between us. You have done so in the past, and I'm convinced that you know that you must even do more so in the future. Shalom.
That's how it is here in Israel today. What it will be like tomorrow depends in part on what you do tonight.